Before I start, I want to talk about myself a little bit because I don't want to be prejudged when I'm talking about that issue. It's a really controversial topic, and I feel like there are only two sides of it, either you're pro or con. I want to bring a new perspective to this topic. I know I may make some people angry with my thoughts, but those people are already polarized about this topic. My goal is earning people like you, have an idea, stand somewhere, but not in an extreme position. People are not fanatic or radical and open to new different perspectives. I was brought up in one of the most cosmopolitan cities in the world, in Istanbul. Especially our borough Bakırköy is known for its multi-religious structure. I had Armenian, Syriac, Greek, Macedonian, Bulgarian friends when I was growing up, and also most of my neighbors were non-Muslim families. And when you grow up in that type of cultural richness, you'd get to see and know lots of different cultures. So I'm totally open to the differences. Also, the way my family raised me helped me a lot because I was taught what's wrong and what's right. I had total liberty in the city. I could do whatever I wanted. But it wasn't just enough for me. I expanded it and I went to see Europe. I made friends from every part of Europe when I was there. So, as you can see from my background, I'm not a conservative person. I'm not saying that I'm a liberal too, but plus that I don't have right to vote in the US, so it would be very stupid if I support any of the parties. So as an outsider, I feel like I can bring a new different perspective to LGBT plus issues. For me, people are overestimating this topic. I don't understand why people are that polarized about it. It is scary. I know that LGBT plus people had been pushed, seen as a creep through the history. That's not right for me too. They're just people who feel different than us. Don't try to feel them because you can't. We just need to accept them in the way they are, especially if they're around us. When you get to see them, you'll see that they're only people, they're just like us. So basically, in the 21st century, we shouldn't be arguing about those things because we should have enough common sense and access to be able to get that. And also, most of the Western countries is already like that. However, when we're talking about these things, we must also look at the other side of the coin as well while we're criticizing those type of shallow ideas. Because also in politics, we need to avoid far ideologies. There's only one small line that distinguishes communism and fascism. So that's why we need to avoid supporting overactive movements too. I want to give an example for you to understand it better. In Turkey, my hometown country, we celebrate March 8th as a Labor's Women Day. And on that day, women go out, protest, do walk-ins, and other stuff like that in different parts of the country, which is totally fine because they've been doing this for so long. And when you consider women's placement in Muslim societies, they're mostly right. But this year, something really strange happened. Trans people expelled women from the walk-in, which is funny because only a few years ago, those women who were expelled by trans people let them join in the walk-ins. The reason why they were expelled is they think those walk-ins don't cover LGBT plus rights, say trans people. So think about it like that. You're sitting in your home, you see someone who is out, you let him in your home, you give him a room, you feed him. Next day, when you come home, he says, "This is my house and I don't want you here." This is exactly what happened. And I'm sure that you guys may have heard some other similar cases like that too. To make it more simple to understand it, I want to give an example from sports because everybody knows sports and this type of overactive movements are actually like hooliganism in sports. I think they're really similar. So I'm going to talk about the old firm, Celtics Rangers rivalry in Scotland. Celtics and Rangers are the two biggest football teams in Scotland. They have played more than 400 games against each other and they have the most championship in the Scottish League by far. But the reason what makes this rivalry is big is the fight of sects. On the one side, there are Catholic and Irish nationalist Celtics. On the other side, there are Protestant and British Unionist Rangers. When you look at this Scottish history, you'll see how this issue is big and how both sides are polarized. Because I'm not going to talk about the whole Scottish history here, but in summary, Scotland is a part of the UK right now, and Celtic side wants to be independent, become a country, and the Rangers side wants to stay in the UK. So it wouldn't be hard to say that Celtic is a politically a left-wing team and the Rangers the right-wing team. And the result of that has never been good in the history. From the beginning of the 20th century until today, when these two teams met each other in the old firm, there's always been fights between two teams' fans. Before the game, after the game, in the game, it doesn't matter. They just fought each other. Police increased the precautions, but it didn't help to stop them. When these two teams' fans want to fight, it's inevitable. And the result of that, hundreds of deaths, thousands of casualties throughout history. But if you ask, has anything changed? The answer is no, nothing has changed. Those people fought for nothing and died for nothing. And in the end, they're only a bunch of memorial names in a wall in the streets of Glasgow. So, as we go back to our point, you can see the similarity between sport hooliganism and overactivist movements and what this type of polarization can cause in society. They should have every right they should have every right that a straight person has. They should have the right to protest or celebrate. But while doing those things, they can't take rageful and hateful actions against straight people. They cannot capitalize every single activist movement and be a part of it and make irrelevant slogans. Those things will lead the situation in a loop that both sides of the problem will hate each other and there will be no solution of that. These things concern me because I find them very vengeful. I get the feeling of we've been pressured, denied, hated by the society throughout history, and now it's our turn to do that. In addition to that, left movements in the United States support those actions regardless of the situation. This is the scariest part because they think it's liberalism, but it's only paving the way for far left movements and getting them stronger. This populism will affect people's lives. Just as I said in the beginning of the speech, there's a one tiny line that distinguishes communism and fascism. It's also same for the left populism and right populism. By supporting those actions, you become one of those conservatives that you've been criticizing for years. So what I suggest is let's calm down. We are in the 21st century. We should have already gotten over those issues. Those people will get all of their rights sooner or later. Fight for their rights. Don't fight against people who do not agree with you. That won't bring you anything but more polarization.